Live from Columbia, this is Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network. Be a part of tonight's show. Call us at 800-956-7266 or email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Now, here are your hosts for Sports Talk, Phil Kornblut, Kevin McCrary, and Tom Hayes.
Wanted to go out there and throw strikes, get back into it for the first time, and try to get my 2 innings and get them on the way to a win.
Obviously, the stakes are higher, but that, in essence, that's about it. You're playing great opponents, which we've done all year, and your season's on the line each and every game.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network, live and on the scene at the NCAA Baseball Regionals at Clemson and at South Carolina as play is underway across the country. Over most of the country, some parts of the country, they do not have regionals. But in those areas hosting regionals, games are underway. Games are in the books. We've got one finished up here at Clemson at Doug Kingsmore Stadium. Oklahoma State, the number 2 seed, little trouble with number 3 seed Nebraska, 6-0. And over in Columbia today, UNC Wilmington, the number 2 seed, had no trouble with its in-state rival from Duke, from Durham. The Blue Devils making their first NCAA tournament appearance since 1961. It did not go well for them. Wilmington wins it 11-1. That's one of the stories of 3 in Columbia. Story number 2, the Gamecock lineup for the night. Number 3, the weather. K-Mac is over at Founders Park to tell us more about both. Hello, K-Mac.
Hello, Corn. How are you doing?
Good. Good to be here.
Yeah. Good to be here, too, although it would be a little bit better if there wasn't so much water here as well. The sun is back out here at Founders Park, but the tarp is still out. There is standing water on the warning track, standing water in right field, standing water in left field, standing water behind home plate. There's a lot of water, and apparently there could be some more weather coming through at some point. They are not taking the tarp off yet, even though the sun's out. They haven't allowed fans in the park just yet either. So we're kind of in a holding pattern here at Founders Park.
On my drive up to Clemson, I did not see a drop of rain. It was hot. It is hot and humid, and those conditions that could lead to a thunderstorm at any moment. But so far, so good here. Now, also in Columbia, K-Mac, some changes in the Gamecock lineup for their opener tonight against Rhode Island.
I don't see the lineup, Corn. You might have something that I don't have yet. I've not seen the weather. Yeah, I have not been handed a lineup yet. Now, I have not. So you're going to have to pass that along to me. You're breaking that news to me.
Okay, well, I'm going off of Twitter, and Carson passed this on to me. But T.J. Hopkins batting second. Jonah Bride will start at third. D.C. Arendas will start at second. Alex Destino will DH. Hopkins will be in left. No John Jones in the lineup tonight. So that is the move.
Yeah, not a big surprise with Jones, the way he's been scuffling. And I know Holbrook City is going to ride it out with him, but you got to get Hopkins bat in there. It's good news that you have Arendas and Hopkins in there because both of them were very iffy to play even up to this afternoon.
Yeah. Okay, we will catch you up on all the scores and more in a moment. We are back at Sports Talk tonight from up at Clemson at the Doug Kingsmore Stadium, actually over in the Jervey Athletic Center, but not far from Doug Kingsmore. I could probably hit it with a good 7-iron from here. And Kevin McCrary over at Founders Park in Columbia, where they're waiting for the weather to clear out in hopes that they can get started on time. Their second game of the day, South Carolina, Rhode Island, looking at the green stuff is right over Columbia right now, but behind it, coming from the west, it's all clear. So I imagine when this little patch of stuff gets out of the way, they're going to be okay in Columbia. And here up in Clemson, everything looks good so far for tonight's 7 o'clock first pitch between the Tigers and Western Carolina. Third time around for these two teams this season. Clemson winning 2 really close games in the regular season against the Catamounts. Had to rally to win here at Doug Kingsmore. And so we'll see. We'll see if Western Carolina can put up much of a fight with the Tigers, or if Clemson behind Charlie Barnes is going to keep that momentum going that it started to build late in the regular season and carry through in that impressive run at the ACC tournament in Durham, North Carolina. Let me catch you up on all the scores of the day here and what's happened in Columbia. Let's begin with Coastal Carolina because we're keeping a close watch on the Chanticleers as well. Good start for them in Raleigh. The Chanticleers beat St. Mary's of California today 5-2, fell behind 1-0, but Connor Owings had a 2-run single in the third, and that put them up 2-1. They eventually went up 5-1. St. Mary's scored a run in the sixth, and that was it. 5-2, the final 5-9-1. For the second seed Coastal, 2-7-1 for the third seed St. Mary's. Today for Coastal, a couple of hits by Connor Owings. Make that one hit for Connor Owings. Billy Cook, the center fielder, he had 3 hits on the day. G.K. Young had a couple of hits on the day for Coastal. Andrew Beckwith, their All-American pitcher, he started. He went 6 2/3 innings, 6 hits, 2 runs, 1 earned, struck out 3. He walked 1. He threw 97 pitches, 66 for strikes. Bobby Holmes finished up the last 2 1/3 innings and allowed just 1 hit and struck out 5. So a good start for Coastal, and they advance in the winner's bracket of that regional in Raleigh. Of course, it'll be NC State playing tonight in the second game. NC State and Navy, winner there, plays Coastal Carolina tomorrow. Now, here in at Clemson today, Oklahoma State 6-0, 13-0 for the Cowboys, 6-0 for Nebraska. Oklahoma State led today offensively by Connor Costello, had a home run, 3 hits, 4 RBIs on the afternoon, raised his average to 341. J.R. Davis had 3 hits for Oklahoma State. He's now batting 358. And they also had a productive day from John Littell with 3 hits. So they had 13 hits, but they were bunched between 3 guys. 3 guys had 9 of those 13 hits. Oklahoma State's number 1 starter, Thomas Hatch, he went 7 innings, 6 hits. Obviously no runs allowed. He struck out 10. Lowered his ERA to 2.16. He threw 109 pitches, 79 for strikes. Trey Cobb finished up with 2 innings of work, 31 pitches by him, and he did not allow a hit. He struck out 2, and he walked 1. So impressive showing by Oklahoma State in its opener today here at Doug Kingsmore. And of course, Oklahoma State moves on to play the winner of the Clemson Western Carolina game coming up tonight. And in Columbia, first game of the day there, saw UNC Wilmington have no trouble defeating Duke. Duke in the tournament for the first time since 1961. Came in feeling pretty confident. Going to have to play out a loser's bracket. A 6-run second and a 5-run third. That was it. That's all Wilmington needed. Duke scored its run in the 6th. 11-11-1 for Wilmington. 1-8-0 for Duke. Excuse me. They want to be called UNCW. I have to I have to correct myself. UNCW. Leading the way, Brian Mims, their second baseman, had 2 hits and 5 RBIs on the day. Who else did well for them? Daniel Stack had a couple of hits. Stephen Linkus had a hit, a couple of RBIs. Robbie Thorne had a couple of RBIs. They did all their scoring and did it with no home runs. Had some doubles in there, but no home runs. The winning pitcher, Ryan Foster, went the distance. 114 pitches for him, 9 innings, 8 hits, 1 earned run, struck out 2, and walked 2. So UNC Wilmington advances in the winner's bracket, awaits the winner of South Carolina and Rhode Island coming up later on tonight. And hopefully that game will get started on time and will move without any more weather interruption. Now to other games across the country. Let's update you. Bottom of the 11th, Washington and Santa Barbara. They're 1-1. Top of the 8th, Wake Forest is leading Minnesota. That's a 3-2, 5-0. It's on top of the 8th. Top of the 2nd, East Carolina and Bryant are scoreless. Top of the 8th, Boston College is leading Tulane 4-2. Top of the 1st, Western Michigan, Louisville, scoreless. Bottom 1, Florida State leading Alabama State 1-0. In the well, that's it. That's it for the games that are currently in action. Other finals today: Southern Miss defeats South Alabama 14-2. Connecticut beat Georgia Tech, a 3-2. Connecticut beat Georgia Tech 7-6. It was Long Beach State over Florida Atlantic 5-1. That's a 3-2. Ohio State beat Wright State 7-6. Mississippi State, number 1 seed, beat Southeast Missouri State 9-5. Texas Tech pounded Fairfield. That's a 1-4, 12-1 in that one. And Gonzaga, 3 seed, beat the 2 seed Arizona State 5-1. So you're up to date on those scores. You can see some of the threes can be problematic in these first round games because everybody's got good arms going for the most part in the openers. So it can be tough sledding. That's why if you're South Carolina, you take nothing for granted tonight because they're facing a tremendous pitcher in Tyler Wilson. They have to hope that Clark Schmidt can match him and that they're able to generate some offense and lean on Schmidt and lean on what has been very good defense for most of the year and hope that they can scratch out a couple of runs here and there against a very tough pitcher. I think South Carolina is, if Wilson's on his game, then the Gamecocks are going to have to probably play some small ball and execute extremely well to generate some runs against him, and vice versa for Rhode Island against Schmidt. I mean, Schmidt is not chopped liver. He's very good too. So you've got 2 excellent pitchers going at it tonight in Columbia. Let's see what else to mention to you. Jamarcus King is in at South Carolina. The junior college cornerback, Will Muschamp, said earlier in the week he expected him to get in this week, and he is in summer classes and summer workouts. So he will compete for a starting cornerback job immediately when they get to a fall camp here in a couple of months. That's certainly good news for South Carolina because we all know they need the help in the secondary, and getting him in can only be a bonus for them, and getting him to work right away and also working with those other corners, that's a bonus as well. Qualifying this afternoon, they got around some rain at Pocono. Brad Keselowski wins the pole, 181.726. He edges out his teammate Joey Logano, 181.400. Matt Kenseth qualified third at 181.3. Then it's Kevin Harvick, Carl Edwards, Tony Stewart, good showing, Jimmy Johnson, Dale Jr., Kurt Busch, and Denny Hamlin. That's your top 10. We'll be back. More. Okay, we're back at Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network from right here in Clemson tonight, and also K-Mac over at the Founders Park. We'll check back with him in just a few minutes. Coming up after the bottom of the hour break, we'll be joined by Clemson star basketball player Jerron Blossomgame, who's not going anywhere. He's hanging around right here at Clemson for another season. We'll chat with him coming up after the bottom of the hour break. Looking forward to that. Also, Alan Smothers from our affiliate in Myrtle Beach and in Florence will be joining us to talk about Coastal Carolina's win today. He's in Raleigh covering the Chanticleers, and we'll talk with him about their performance and their win this afternoon. All that coming up in just a little bit here on Sports Talk. Let me update round 2 of the Memorial Jacks tournament up in Ohio, and it's Brendan Steele and Matt Kuchar tied for the lead after 2 rounds. They're 12 under. Steele is 67 today. Kuchar had a 66, 2 shots back. Gary Woodland, who had a 65, and Emiliano Grillo, who had a 66 today. They're at 11 under. Harold Varner, the third. John Curran, Kevin Streelman, Dustin Johnson, they're all in at 9 under. Johnson had a 71 today after a 64 yesterday. Let's see who else is up on our favorites board. Scott Brown from Aiken, a 67. He's 8 under. Phil Mickelson, a 69, 7 under. Jason Day is 7 under after a 71. Lucas Glover, former Tiger, 67, 7 under. Rory McIlroy is 66. He's at 7 under. Russell Henley from Daniel Island, a 70. He's at 6 under. Jordan Spieth, a 68. He's at 6 under. Wofford's Bill McGirt. He's on the course. Finishing up, he's got one more hole to go. He's at 6 under. Luke Donald is at 4 under. Is at 4 under. Bryson DeChambeau, the one-time amateur, now the rookie, he's 4 under par through 17. Bubba Watson's 2 under after a 70 today. Bill Haas 1 under after a 73. Ernie Els is even. Kevin Kisner is 2 over. And Davis Love withdrew from the tournament after yesterday. He shot a 76 yesterday, and he said, that's enough for me. Of course, everybody now starting to try to get their game in shape for the U.S. Open coming up in just a couple of weeks. And the projected cut right now is -2. So let's see who's not going to make it. Does not look like Bill Haas will make it, nor Kevin Kisner from the state. Everybody else is in good shape moving forward. All right, we've caught you up on most everything. We'll give you some recruiting in just a little bit. Latest offers that have gone out and some visits taking place as it's now summertime for most kids. Summer camps are cropping up for football and basketball recruits. I think Jerron probably remembers when he hit the recruiting trail and the camp trail, especially came to camp and showed out, and they said, this guy's got a chance. So we'll give you that a little bit later on. But when we come back, it's Jerron Blossomgame with us here on Sports Talk. Be back in a moment. We are back, Sports Talk, tonight from Clemson and over at USC for the baseball regionals, brought to you by South Carolina soybean farmers and their checkoff. Learn more at scsoybeans.org. Pork powered by soy. Plenty of baseball talk, plenty of baseball to look ahead to. Let's talk some basketball. Other form of round ball. Clemson star Jaron Blossom game joining us here on Sports Talk. And first of all, glad you're back for another year. That's going to make for some exciting basketball at Clemson and the state of South Carolina. And now that you've had a little bit of time to kind of reflect on your decision, how do you feel about it?
I feel good. I feel like I made the right decision. Honestly, I feel like I couldn't go wrong with either way. But in the end, I'm at peace with my decision. I feel like I've made the right one, and I'm excited for the season.
When you were going through the process, and I know at your press conference you said one day you were going pro, one day you were coming back. How tough was it for you? How much were you being pulled in two different directions by maybe two different groups who were both kind of looking out for what they think is your best interest?
Well, it was really hard. I mean, obviously, my goal as a kid has always been to play in the NBA, and being so close to it and having a taste of it by going to combine and working out for these teams, it kind of my mindset. I kind of wanted to leave, honestly, but there's a right time for everything to happen, and I think that coming back next year, I think I can really improve my stock and really get acclimated with playing on the wing more and get comfortable with it. I didn't want my first time playing on the wing to be in the NBA, and it was a hard decision. Some days, like I said, I wake up, I want to leave, and some days I wake up, I want to come back. But
sure.
People were pulling at me different directions, but in the end, it's my decision, and I'm comfortable with it.
In your mind, from what you heard from the NBA people, what was the highest pick they told you? The best case scenario for you would have been what if you had stayed in? You think from what they told you.
25.
Of course, you never know what's going to happen on draft day. You thinking 25?
25 to the Clippers.
Yeah, 25 to the Clippers.
Yeah, I had a really good workout in LA, and if I would have stayed in, they wanted to bring me back for another workout, and it went really well. But sometimes you just have to trust your gut, and I feel like going back gave me the best chance to really improve my stock.
And so, so first round is first round, and 25 is 25. So by coming back to Clemson, let's just say everything goes well, and you have that great year, all ACC, maybe ACC Player of the Year, whatever case may be, All-American. How much do you think in the eyes of the NBA you can improve your stock?
I think the main thing, for an example, guys like Denzel Valentine and Buddy Hield, they were kind of in a similar situation their junior year. They were late first, early second round fringe guys last year. And coming back this year, them winning and pulling their teams to victory, I think that's the biggest thing that the teams are really looking for. They want guys in their locker room that are high character guys, obviously, but they also want guys that can win and help them win the program.
So you think getting to the NCAA tournament, it really boosts a player's stock in the eyes of the NBA?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, even some teams told me that, if you bring your team to the NCAA tournament next year, that's obviously automatically going to impact your stock in a positive way. So I think we have a good opportunity to win next year. We have a really talented team. We had those transfers sitting out, and obviously guys get better over the summer. So I think it's going to be a big season for us, honestly. I'm very excited for it. What
was the biggest difference in your game, in your opinion, between your sophomore and your junior years?
I think the biggest difference, honestly, is my ability to shoot. My freshman year and sophomore year, I shot 20%, 28% my sophomore year. And this past year, I shot 44 from three. So I think just becoming a more consistent shooter, it kind of opened up the rest of my game. Being able to drive and have teams respect me as a three-point shooter kind of opens up the rest of my game. And, it was good for me just being able to get in the gym and continue to knock down shots and have confidence and have my teammates have confidence in me. It was a good feeling.
How did you do that? How did you improve your outside shots so much in one off season?
Well, the funny thing about it is actually the same thing that I did between freshman and sophomore year as I did from sophomore to junior. But my sophomore year, I didn't get the results. It was kind of frustrating because I put in so much work and getting in shots up. I'll come back extra at night to come in and get up shots, but it didn't translate on the court for some reason. Like we would do shooting drills in practice, and I'm like top 3, but in the game, I'm shooting 28%. So it was definitely frustrating, but I didn't really get down on myself. I did the same thing, had the same approach the last summer. But I think the main difference is the shot selection I had this year. I shot a lot of shots that were set shots. I had my good form, and I think the difference between last season, I shot some bobble balls, some crazy threes, and it really just it wasn't my game. And
sure.
I think the more comfortable I get now, I think it translates better.
Talking with Clemson's Jaron Blossom game, looking ahead to the Tigers basketball season. So this offseason, what are you working on that you can improve as much in like you did from your sophomore to your junior year, from junior to senior season? What do you want to improve in the most?
Well, I mean, obviously ball handling. There's things I work on every day. Like you have to work on your shooting. You have to work on your strength. You have to work on certain things every day just to stay consistent. But I think for me to make another jump like I did last year, I think to work on my perimeter skills, obviously playing out of ball screens, playing on the perimeter, playing in transition, and obviously shoot the ball at a high level again. That's kind of what teams really want to see. They want to see if that 44% was actually legit, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's the biggest thing.
As you made the stops around the NBA for their workouts and going against high caliber competition every night, and also the grind, kind of like an NBA player, you know, here one night, there the next. Learn about your game, and what tips did you pick up as you went from stop to stop from the coaches that you are going to take with you to your senior year?
I think the biggest thing, honestly, I learned was, you know, well, the high profile guys, I'm not that far away. You know, in these workouts, honestly, I had my last 4 workouts were my best workouts. You know, I played unbelievably well. I shot the ball at a high level. I defended at a high level, and everything went really well. It was just kind of make this decision really hard to come back. But I think I learned that, you know, I'm right where I need to be. You know, this off season, I know what I need to work on. Teams told me to just continue to shoot the ball at a high level and work on my ball handling. So I'll take that this summer and hopefully improve.
Let's talk about your team, because going into this season, I got to believe the expectations will be top 4, top 5 at the least in the ACC. I know you lose a good player and a good friend in Noko, and that's a big guy to replace. But you've got, you know, so many players coming in, transfer guys who can contribute right away, big guys who can contribute right away. You see a championship.
Honestly, I really do. We have a lot of good pieces. We have a lot of talent on our team, and I think this year will be a good year for us. You know, we have, you know, Shelton Mitchell from Vanderbilt. He's an elite high-level point guard. The guy from Robert Morris, Marquise Reed, and then Elijah Thomas from Texas A&M. So we got some talented guys on the roster, and obviously the guys we got returning will get better over the summer. So I feel good about what we got. You know, City will obviously improve, and you know, Coach has a lot of confidence in us, and he believes we have a really good team. And I think the main thing for us is just believing collectively as a group we're a really good team.
So you were telling me earlier that you could have a lineup where you've got City in the middle, and you got Thomas at the 4, and you play the 3, and Grantham goes and plays the 2, right? I mean, that's a big lineup.
Yeah, I mean, that's something we could do. I think that'll actually exploit a lot of matchups. You know, Dante being 6'8", able to handle the ball, playing the 2 guard. You know, he'll be having guys like 6'3" guarding him, so he'll be at an advantage. And obviously, I'll be at an advantage having smaller guys on me. And I think that big lineup, actually, we can rebound the ball well out of that lineup, and I think we can create a lot of mismatches with that.
Plus the go-by speed.
Yeah.
I mean, my goodness, if you've got those matchups in your favor. You've been over to New Littlejohn and looked around. What do you think? What's it going to be like?
I think it's going to be really good. We walked through it about a month ago, and then I announced I was coming back. So obviously I wanted to go see it again, see the progress they made on it, and it looks awesome. I mean, the court's down pretty much, everything's down, and the seating's down and the lights up. So it looks pretty good. I'm definitely excited to get back in there.
Do you think it will? I mean, Littlejohn had that atmosphere, as you know, when you guys were playing well and rocking, and you know, the sound would just sort of kind of come down right on top of you. Is this going to have the same kind? It's going to be a little smaller in terms of the number of seats, I believe. But you think it'll have the same kind of atmosphere?
Yeah, when we're on the court and actually in there, we stepped out on the court. You can feel like the seats are on top of you. So when we get the fans in there, you're gonna feel like all the fans are on top of you. So as a road team, you know, it's somewhere I wouldn't want to play at.
So you still see a big home court advantage.
Yeah,
in the new place.
For sure. I think what we need to do early though is set the tone. You know, we need to have all the fans come out the first game versus UGA and really set the tone from that. You know, we can win that and get some positive momentum rolling. And obviously, we got the Big Ten ACC Challenge here at home, so we need to really get our crowd involved early on.
Who wants to score the first points in the new place?
Honestly, I don't know. I haven't talked to anybody about it.
Come on, man, step up and get the first dunk. Real quick, you're going out west later this summer for a big event?
Yeah, I'm going up for 2 camps. I'll be in the Nike Skills Academy in LA and then Adidas Nation in July in Las Vegas.
Well, best of luck. And we thank you for coming by and visiting with us. Looking forward to a great senior year from you.
Appreciate it, man.
Thank you very much. My pleasure. Jaron Blossomgame, Tiger standout with us here on Sports Talk. We'll be right back. Okay, we're back. Sports Talk South Carolina Radio Network. Thanks again to Jerron Blossom Game for joining us here on Sports Talk, and hope he has a great summer, continues to stay healthy, continues to get better, and you know what? Can do what he hopes to do this season and see that stock rise for the NBA draft and maybe be a top 10 pick next spring, next summer. Want to remind you that whether you are a part of Gamecock Nation or you bleed a Clemson orange, or you are a Coastal fan, or Furman, Wofford, Newberry, PC, whatever the case may be, South Carolina State, Benedict, North Greenville, Limestone, Erskine, any of our schools in the state, everyone can agree on Founders Federal Credit Union. Of course, they have a convenient location at the Russell House at USC and a new location, Highway 93, here in Clemson. That's on the way. Founders is a sure fan favorite. Visit RelaxJoinFounders.com to see if you qualify for membership. Founders Federal Credit Union, federally insured by NCUA. Let's go to Raleigh, North Carolina, home of the Wolfpack, hosting a regional. And this afternoon, Coastal Carolina knocked off St. Mary's. More about it, we welcome good friend, the bad boy, Alan Smothers.
Well, thank you for inviting me, Phil. I'm getting ready to head back to the stadium for game number 2 after a sweat fest this afternoon. The temps hit the triple digits, and Gary Gilmore got quite a gift when Andrew Beckwith was able to go 6 2/3, or 5 2/3 innings, and then Bobby Holmes was able to finish it out the rest of the way. So we only used 2 arms today in the middle of 95 to 100-degree heat.
Yeah, so that's good. Save as much of that pitching as possible. What about the overall performance of the Chanticleers? They came up with some timely hits. Owings had the 2 RBI hit to get them ahead, and their play in the field. How would you characterize their overall performance?
I would say, I don't want to say go so far as say A+, but they did turn 3 double plays today. Would have had 4, but the runner was stealing from first and beat the throw to second. They did get the out there. So in the field, they did tremendous. They only gave up the solo home run at the beginning of the ball game in the very first inning, and that was all that Beckwith gave up. And then they got 1 later with a timely hit, but Coastal did get perfect hits. Michael Paez in particular got 2 hits and 1 off the wall that drove in 2 that put Coastal ahead for good. They did, they had a chance at an insurance run in the 9th, but weren't able to finish that off. But 5-2 was all they needed because timely. If you want to talk about timely, the pitching was right on time today. Yeah. And I was very impressed with both of the arms for Coastal today.
All right, so NC State and Navy coming up. Navy has a gaudy record, and I remember on Monday when the field was announced, the college baseball experts were talking about Navy as a very dangerous team for NC State.
Well, as you mentioned with Gary last night on the program, that every team has an ace. Every team, the ace for St. Mary's today was good through about 4.5 innings, but couldn't get Coastal out at the right time, and then they had to use 4 or 5 arms before the end of the day. But NC State, that's good at pitching is their problem. They're deep, but they're not. They don't have experienced starting pitching. I heard today that they may move Brian Brown to the Friday night starter. He's been this Saturday starter for the Wolfpack all year long, but they lost Ryan Williamson, their Sunday starter, to Tommy John surgery, and Corey Wilder, their Friday night starter, has lived up to his year. He's thrown enough wild pitches for a 4-year career this season. That's the main reason. I mean, my son is here with me. He's a Coastal Carolina graduate, and I'm a big Coastal fan too. But my Wolfpack is hosting, and I'm hoping that and I won't be here tomorrow night, so I'm hoping that the Wolfpack will play Coastal tomorrow night. But both teams are hitting the ball tremendously at the end of the year, but not scoring a lot of runs. Coastal hit the cover off the ball today, 9 hits, but they got them at the right time today to score 5 runs. NC State's been doing the same. Last week, I was talking to Andrew Kisner, our All-American catcher. I was talking to his dad today, and he was at the ACC tournament last week. I was not, but said the Wolfpack played great all but 2 innings. And when you score 7 runs against Miami, you're supposed to win that game.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Miami hits a 3-run homer in the bottom of the 9th after the Wolfpack had taken a 2-run lead in the top of the 9th to lose the game. And that's tough.
We have got to hit a break. Thank you for the report, Alan. Enjoy the weekend. We'll be right back. We are back. Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network. Misspoke there. As we come to you from Clemson and from Founders Park, we'll catch back up with K-Mac over at USC just a little bit. Let's give you the recruiting report that we have for you on this Friday afternoon evening. USC on Thursday offered linebacker Colin Anderson, 6'2", 210, out of Killen, Alabama, joining Arkansas, Cal, Michigan, Tulane, Georgia Tech, Illinois, Iowa, Louisville, Maryland, Tennessee, Vanderbilt, Wake Forest, some of the other schools on his offer list. He, after getting the offer, wants to learn more about the program. He's been in touch with recruiters Robinson and Hutzler, and they've told him they love his film and like the way that he plays, but he said he still has to learn more about them. He is not settled on a favorites list at this point. Not sure about visits this summer, but he expects that USC will get one. He did visit Tennessee in late May. USC is holding a specialist camp Sunday, and a punter kicker who plans to attend is Joseph Gurley, 6'3", 195. He is from Killen, Alabama as well. He has been in touch with Hutzler, who is the special teams coach at USC, and invited to the camp. They've been talking to him about a preferred walk-on, so he doesn't know yet about an offer. He hopes to earn one at the camp. He prefers punting and averaged 42 yards per punt last season and said only 4 were returned. He did have a 49-yard field goal. Alabama, Ole Miss, Vanderbilt, Southern Miss, and Troy have also been showing interest. USC offered 2018 defensive back Randy Russell of Opelika, Florida, who was in for a visit on Thursday. USC and Clemson target defensive end MJ Webb of Madison, Georgia, was at Tennessee Thursday. Defensive back A.J. Terrell of Atlanta, who had planned to visit Clemson today, did not make it in. USC today offered defensive back Donnell Thomas, 5'11", 178, out of Hialeah, Florida. He was in at USC for an unofficial visit when he picked up the offer from the Gamecocks. 2018 defensive end K.J. Henry of Clemens, North Carolina, was at USC Thursday. He's at Georgia today. USC target wide receiver M.J. Jarrell of Orlando committed to Maryland. He visited USC last weekend. So that's a bit of a loss for South Carolina right there, because I think they felt like they were in pretty good shape with him after the visit, but he ended up going with Maryland. And in basketball, 6'5" Najee Marshall of Greenbelt, Maryland, has a top 5 of USC, Xavier, Pittsburgh, Virginia Tech, and Rhode Island. He averaged 15 points per game last season. All right, that's recruiting. Be sure to check it out over the weekend on our website, sportstalksc.com. We'll report on anything that we hear. And on Twitter, use the hashtag STRecruiting to take you right to our recruiting stuff. All right, top of the hour break. We'll be back.
Live from Columbia, this is Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network. Be a part of tonight's show. Call us at 800-956-7266 or email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Now, here are your hosts for Sports Talk, Phil Kornbluth, Kevin McCrary, and Tom Hayes.
Welcome back into Sports Talk on this Friday night, heading into a busy sports weekend around the states and around the country. The state of South Carolina, of course, one of the hot spots for college baseball regionals. Clemson and Western Carolina just underway, just over from me. I'm over at Jerby Athletic Center here at Clemson. They're playing over at Doug Kingsmore, and they're just underway. And already Western Carolina does have a runner on first, with one man out off of Charlie Barnes, the Tigers starter, who's given up a hit here in the first inning. Meantime, let's go over to Founders Park at USC. The weather has been a little bit of an issue there. Let's hope that it's gotten out of the way so they can play ball, K-Mac.
The sun is out. The fans are filing in here to Founders Park. The tarp is being rolled up as we speak. The squeegees are now back in the workshop. And it looks like we're going to play some baseball here eventually. We're still about an hour or so away. 8:09 is the start time. There's still some weather in the area, but like I said, I don't see anything. I'm standing outside here in the concourse area overlooking the field on the perch, and I don't see anything but the sun and blue sky. So I do think we're going to be able to get this in. I checked the forecast. It looks pretty good for the rest of the night. Looks pretty good for Saturday. Could get dicey again on Sunday, but I'm going to go out of here and tell you, Cormer, to get this thing in. Better late than never. Good.
Well, let's just, be thankful for all the equipment they have at these stadiums now to detect lightning and things of that nature. If lightning's within, 8 miles of the stadium, they'll stop play. And people might say, why are they stopping play? It's nice here. But I can remember, I think it was the Florida series where, they missed some clouds and a bolt of lightning, popped right over the stadium after they had let people back in, and they quickly got everybody out. So, they'll err on the side of caution if anything crops up around the stadium.
Yeah, you would prefer not to have somebody struck by lightning, and they do a good job. And it is frustrating if there's a lightning strike anywhere within that radius. They have to wait 30 minutes in between strikes. That's the rule, and that's what keeps people safe. But we did have a strike, which is we're in that window now. So as long as there's no more strikes, and again, it looks clear now, we'll have an 8:09 first pitch. Clark Schmidt against Tyler Wilson, Gamecocks and Rams here at Founders Park.
Okay. Now, the field conditions, I know they're working it. They're getting the tarp off. They've been trying to squeeze the water off the field. I know it drains well. From what you can tell, does it appear it'll be a pretty solid track when they get out there?
Yeah, they've done a good job. The water has been squeegeed off. They put some more dirt on the infield, and it's taken some rain. I would imagine that the outfield's going to be a little slick, but it looks good. Yeah, they do have a state-of-the-art facility here at Founders Park, including the field.
All right, K-Mac, thank you. We will check in with you later on. Meantime, at Doug Kingsmore, that base runner that Western Carolina had, he got wiped out in a double play. Tigers out of that inning. They're batting now in the bottom of the first, scoreless. We'll check the scoreboard when we come back. Okay, we're back. Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network. Phil Kornblut up at Clemson. Kevin McCrary over at Founders Park. Carson Mason back at the studios in downtown Columbia. And Pro sitting on an island somewhere in the Caribbean, sipping on I don't know what he'd be sipping on. Actually, no, but he has gone somewhere for some family business. Hey, we're brought to you by South Carolina soybean farmers and their checkoff. Learn more at scsoybeans.org. Pork powered by soy. Clemson and Western Carolina underway. Tigers batting in the bottom of the first. There are 2 away, and they do not have anyone on base at this point. Western did not score in the top of the first. USC and Rhode Island in a weather delay. They should be cranking up in about 55 minutes in Columbia. Let me update the scoreboard for you. More games have started. Of course, games have moved along. Arizona, Sam Houston State scoreless. Washington and Santa Barbara, 13th inning, 2-2. Boy, you hate I'm not looking at the box score for that game, but, 13 innings now, you're starting to chew up that pitching. And, what do you have left for round 2 for either team, winner or loser, as you go deeper into extras there, 2-2. Bottom 5, Bryant and East Carolina, they're scoreless. Bottom 4, Louisville leading Western Michigan, 2-0. Top 4, Florida State cruising over Alabama State, 7-1. Alabama State's committed 3 errors thus far. Navy, NC State scoreless, bottom of the first. And LSU, Utah Valley, nothing, no scores in on that yet. Let's see. We must have some weather. We got some weather, of course, I think, holding up some games. Utah Valley, LSU, Bethune-Cookman, Florida. I think those are being held up by weather at this point. Should have been underway already. Final scores. Virginia pounded William & Mary 17-4, 20 hits for the Cavaliers today. Southern Miss beat South Alabama 14-2, 16 hits for Southern Miss. Connecticut beat Georgia Tech 7-6. Georgia Tech slide continues. 2 seed, they lose to the 3 seed Connecticut. Long Beach State beat Florida Atlantic 5-1. Mississippi State with a 9-5 win over Southeast Missouri State. 9-14-0 for the Bulldogs. 5-7-1 for Southeast Missouri State. Ohio State beat Wright State 7-6. It was Texas Tech, no trouble with Fairfield, 12-1. Gonzaga beat Arizona State. That's a 3-2, 5-1 there. Wake Forest, 3-2. Wake Forest beat Minnesota 5-3 this afternoon. And another 3-2. Boston College down Tulane 7-2. So, pretty good start, I'd say, for the ACC, with the exception of Georgia Tech and Duke. Duke got hammered by Wilmington. Tech loses to Connecticut. Everything else around the ACC looks positive at this point. So you're up to date as far as the baseball scoreboard this afternoon. Clemson and Western Carolina. Tigers are still batting in the bottom of the first. 2 men are out, and Beer drew a walk, so he gets on base again, extending that long streak of getting on base. What an incredible year he has had. And, of course, the Tigers are hopeful that he'll keep it going here in the postseason, stay hot, and push them forward through the regionals and into the super regionals. Now, at South Carolina, weather delay there. If you're just joining us, a little bit of change in the starting lineup for tonight. Gene Cone will lead off and play right field. Now, T.J. Hopkins, this is a player in the eyes of the Gamecock coaching staff, Chad Holbrook in particular, who has immense talent. And they just, because of the lineup that he's had most of the year, and when you win as many games as they won and 20 games in the SEC, you don't tinker with your lineup a whole lot. But he's been trying to get Hopkins into the lineup, and he's going to get him in left field tonight at the expense of John Jones, DH and catcher. Of course, who got off to such a great start this year, had a tremendous batting average over the first month or so, but has just been in a steady decline. And Holbrook has stuck with him in the hopes that he would break out of his slump. It never happened. He He never got back to where he was the first part of the year. So now at the most important time of the year, he makes a decision to go another direction. And we'll see how this works out. Hopkins had a couple of pinch hit appearances in the SEC tournament, but did not contribute anything offensively. He'll bat second, playing left field. Center field will be Dom Thompson-Williams. Jonah Bride at third. You got to keep an eye on Jonah Bride because he's having back spasms, and apparently he's okay for tonight. But these things, as you well know, if you've had them, they can come and go in a hurry. He is right now penciled in third base, batting fourth. Alex Destino batting fifth, the DH. Madison Stokes at first, batting sixth. Chris Cullen behind the plate, hitting seventh. DC Arendis with a sore finger, batting eighth, playing second base. Marcus Mooney at short and batting ninth, and Clark Schmidt on the hill for the Gamecocks. Tyler Wilson on the hill for Rhode Island. And you can't say enough about these two pitchers. Both have been outstanding. But, Wilson has just shut people down since the first part of the season. He's just been practically unhittable. 12-1, 47 hits allowed in 95 innings. That's impressive. Only 22 earned runs, 111 strikeouts in those 95 innings. Of course, Schmidt's got 115 strikeouts, and he's allowed 5 home runs. So he's, two good pitchers going at it tonight. This could be a very low-scoring game. A team that can push across a run or two, that might be all you're going to get tonight as long as these starting pitchers stay in the game. Once Rhode Island gets past their starting pitcher, then it could be a little bit of trouble for them. A team like this, if you can get into their bullpen, then that's all the better for you. And that, I'm sure, is what South Carolina will be pushing for tonight, to try to get into that bullpen as quickly as possible. Behind Wilson, I don't know what direction they'll go with their pitchers. They do not appear to have an absolute closer. Brad Applin is the pitcher with the most appearances. He had 24 and 3 saves without starting a game. So I imagine that he's the guy at the back end of their bullpen who tries to save games for them. But after you get past Wilson, the individual ERAs climb a little bit, climb gradually. So he's the guy that you got to get past. If you can get past him, you've got a chance probably to be in pretty good shape. This Rhode Island team, as we pointed out last night, fields it pretty well, 968. They do run. They have 88 stolen bases, and they have 5 different players with double-digit steals. So they can run practically anywhere in their lineup. And their leading hitter is Chris Hess, batting .326. He's got 10 stolen bases on the year. They don't hit a lot of home runs, only 24 home runs on the season. So not a lot of pop in the lineup, but they've got some speed. Hess is the leadoff guy, batting .326. So he's the table setter. He gets on base. They try to make things go with him. So the key for South Carolina is very simple. Are they going to be able to do anything with Tyler Wilson tonight? And we'll find out coming up a little bit after 8 o'clock, as long as the weather holds up. They have moved to the they're still in the bottom of the first over here at Doug Kingsmore. Clemson's got a full-blown threat going. It began with a walk to Beer. And then the Tigers, Okie got on base, and then Wilson has just walked. So they have the bases loaded. Tigers have the bases loaded with, looks like 3 consecutive walks. Yeah, 3 consecutive walks have loaded the bases. But Roman popped out to the shortstop in left field. Okay, so that ends the threat. Roman, little fly ball to short in left field. That ends the inning, ends the threat. Tigers leave 3. They go to the top of the second, scoreless, Western Carolina and Clemson. We'll be right back. Back we are, Sports Talk South Carolina Radio Network, and Clemson, Western Carolina playing over at Doug Kingsmore, top of the second. One is out. The SEC has broken up the spring meetings down in Destin, Florida, without any real earth-shaking news coming out of there. Talk about the basketball tournament, doing some things there. Of course, talk about the satellite camps and how they're going to deal with that moving forward, things of that nature. Report out that new Georgia coach Kirby Smart will make $3.75 million annually through 2021. The Athens paper got a look at the documents that reveal his pay scale. Auburn's proposed stadium renovations are going to be closer to $200 million than the initial estimate of $145 million. Things of that nature. I guess the other big story was the one about Mississippi State and football recruit Jeffrey Simmons, one of the top recruits, maybe the top recruit in their class, who was videotaped in a fight with a female, pummeling her around. And a lot of people criticizing Mississippi State for accepting him as a student and as a football player. And, of course, it all goes back to a couple of things here, an altercation and also the fact that he was hitting a woman. I don't know what happened there. I've looked at the film several times. I counted about 10 to 12 very quick blows from him to the lady, and she was on the ground, some around the head, some on the back. They came in a quick burst. He, of course, has been cited with a misdemeanor by the police officials there. This apparently was an altercation that broke out over an argument between the woman and his sister, and whatever his. I don't know if the video doesn't show what happened before. Everybody is drawing conclusions based on what they're seeing on the video, yet we don't know what led to it. We don't know if the woman was threatening the guy's sister in advance, or whatever the case may be. If she was making threats, had something to do with the woman allegedly making some comments about some deceased members of his family that set them off. The thing that really struck me, though, beyond all that, and of course, fighting is never good. Hitting a woman, if you're a man, is never good unless it's in self-defense. I mean, come on, we all agree if a woman's hitting you for some reason, if she's attacking you and really coming at you, you got to defend yourself. I don't know if that's the case here or not, because we don't see is that this took place in an apartment complex in Macon, Georgia, and there's people standing all around. I guess residents just milling all around, and nobody was stepping in to do anything. I think that got me more than anything else in looking at the video. You had all these people walking around there, and it had the feel of a gang situation to some degree. But what really caught me is how nobody would step in to try to stop what was going on, would come to the aid of the woman. I don't know, what the relationships amongst the people were like there, but that was very odd to me that nobody stepped in to try to break that thing up. All right, we'll be back. The full Monty on NASCAR right around the corner here on Sports Talk. Okay, we're back. Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network, presented by South Carolina soybean farmers and their checkoff. Learn more at scsoybeans.org. Pork, powered by soy. Caleb Robinson has hit a 2-run homer for Western Carolina. The Catamounts have taken the early 2-0 lead on Clemson as we're playing the bottom of the second. 2-3-0 for Western. The Tigers batting in the bottom of the second after leaving the bases full in the bottom of the first. 2-0 Western jumping out on Clemson. But I'll say this, if you're going to beat Clemson, you better bury them, because this Tiger team has a knack for coming from behind and pulling games out, especially here at Doug Kingsmore, as Western knows, because they've experienced that already this season. All right, we're up in Poconos with the NASCAR guys this weekend. They are going to be racing on the triangular track, the Tricky Triangle, as they call it, this weekend. Let's welcome in for the full Monty of NASCAR, the man who knows all, tells all about NASCAR, Monty Dutton. And first of all, last week, the 600, in all your years of covering the sport, have you, I'm sure you have, but in recent memory, have you seen a team come off the hauler, driver, car, and team so well prepared and execute so well as the Truax group did in the 600?
I've seen some snoozers in my day. I saw Jeff Burton lead every lap at New Hampshire when NASCAR made a foolhardy decision to use restrictor plates at a mile flat track. But I don't think when you factor in the fact that NASCAR certainly doesn't want it to be possible for one car to be that superior to everyone else, I think that it was a I mean, that always gets under my skin, because everybody does things on a curve. I mean, you can't say that every race is a great race, but the way fans are is if they want Truex to win, it's a wonderful race, and they get angry if you point out that that he led 588 out of 600 miles, and so they get all mad. And I can't. And then on Tuesday, NASCAR acknowledged that they were rethinking their aero rules because he'd stunk the show up. So when NASCAR says they stunk up the show, it seems like it's pretty good. But I mean, one of the more boring races I ever saw was in Atlanta. And one of my colleagues, we were joking, and he kept going, "It's the worst race I've ever seen." And so I just got tired of hearing him gripe, so I said, "Well, the good news is I just finished my federal income tax." And he didn't blink, and he said, "I taught myself Portuguese." but nobody remembers that race. You know why? Dale Earnhardt Jr. won it.
Yeah. Well, I found it interesting because domination is not always boring, because you keep waiting for something to happen, and it never did. Now, they did have a late restart that created some racing and some dicing about there a little bit until he pulled away. I just was
all
impressed
races, by the way, are interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, not all races are exciting, but all races are interesting.
Yeah.
They go to the end, and particularly with all the unlucky ways that Truex has lost races, a lot of people were watching wondering what would go wrong this week. I mean, the fact is that I'd take a race like that over, say, Florida State beating Savannah State 72-0. But there's probably something interesting in that. But I mean, I'm just saying, as far as there's always things that are interesting. There's always the worry that there's always the thing that maybe some guy has been slowing down and not using gas. There are strategic things that always come into play.
Yep. For sure. Now, listening to a NASCAR radio this afternoon as they were leading up to qualifying, the big discussion was on lug nuts and, penalties for lug nuts. And I'm confused over the lug nut rule for this year, because I thought that they kind of have looked the other way. And if you only had 3 Titan lug nuts on your wheel, that was fine.
Well, they used to monitor that with people on pit road. There were some occasions where, say, all the other lug nuts were were silver and one was painted yellow. They're all yellow. They're all yellow, but there's one silver one, and the guy who's the inspector couldn't see it. So they actually had some cases where they penalized people and nothing was wrong. So phase 2 becomes NASCAR. First of all, there's 2 reasons. They started doing everything by video, and they stopped having as many inspectors on pit road. And so they pretty much decided, okay, fine, you fools, if you want to put on 2 lug nuts, knock yourself out. Well, phase 3, tires start flying off cars. And so then the most laughable thing of it all is Tony Stewart says, this is ridiculous. You know, not even caring how many lug nuts are on there. So they fine him. And then they probably do what he said. You know, NASCAR sets the rules. The biggest problem with NASCAR is things change so much. You know, they sit, you know, I mean, and there are mountains of jello on things like that. You know, and so things in NASCAR, as a general rule, tend to bounce back and forth between low downforce and high downforce, between this being required and this being optional. And I really think that when you go from almost everything, the format of the All-Star race, the format of the chase, the downforce rules, they have some rules that work beautifully in the All-Star race, and they have another race at the next same track the next week. Oh, those aren't in place. Well, what was the use of doing it? You know?
Yeah.
So I get agitated, but I mean, I have a great longing to set the damn rules and let's let them work see if they'll work for a while and not just a week.
Yeah,
So
I hear your frustration. The thing about the lug nuts to me too is that would seem to be a safety issue. We're so concerned about safety. It would seem to me that they would demand the what's necessary in terms of the number of lug nuts to make sure the wheels, the tires stay on securely. That shouldn't even be in question.
Yeah, there are things in NASCAR about that where, you know, if you really want this to be not a problem, Indy cars only have one thing to tighten. They have a central thing that does it. You know, other places that you lock a pump in and fuel the car in a quick amount of time. In some ways, NASCAR makes the pit stop sort of a competition of athletic skill. You know, pit crews have gone from being grizzled old guys with a pack of Winston in their pocket to now being guys who didn't make the Canadian Football League. Yeah. You know, I mean, it's become a thing where they're athletes. They don't even know. They don't know how to do anything but pit a car. And they're hired for athletes. So NASCAR likes the competition. They like the excitement of that, and so they sort of limit the technology too.
But don't you marvel at an Indy 500 pit stop in under 9 seconds, where they pull up, the little things drop down, the car pops up, 2 guys go out, change the tire, or 4 guys. I guess there's 1 per tire. They quickly change the tires, they put the gas in, and boom, they're gone in less than 9 seconds.
Yes, but you know, you don't have all these guys running around the car and operating these handheld jacks. Okay, there's no question that's the efficient way to do it. There's no question that's the safest way to do it. NASCAR, when you have a bunch of guys running around the car, there's a danger of somebody skidding and running over one of them.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's no question that the whole process, that the technology and the progress is limited because they want the spectacle to be better. And so you sort of can't have that both ways, I suppose, you know.
Mm-hmm. All right, real quick, about 20 seconds. Who do you like on Sunday?
First of all, I think that a lot of people can win at Pocono because strategy and things come into play. But if it comes down to a guy who's just really good there, I have a hunch that Denny Hamlin might be strong this week. 2 Fords on the front row. I think that Keselowski or Logano could win. But I sort of this is a season that's been dominated by Toyota, and so I have an idea that one of the Gibbs Toyotas is going to win.
All right, my friend, thank you. Enjoy your racing this week. Spall 2, Monty Dutton, the full Monty on NASCAR. Read more from Monty on his blog, and it's appropriately named MontyDutton.com. We'll be back. We'll update the baseball score. Well, when I talked about Clemson digging itself a hole and then coming out of it, I don't think I meant to dig too big of a hole for the Tigers. They're now down 3-0 here in the top of the third inning. Tigers have committed 2 errors. We talked about Clemson and their defensive inefficiencies and how that could be a problem. Well, they've committed a couple of errors already in the game. One occurred here. Let's see. Looks like both of them occurred here in the third inning. The leadoff batter reached on a throwing error by the third baseman. Then sacrifice bunt attempt, throwing error by the pitcher. So runners on second and third. Then a single to center for an RBI. Makes it 3-0. First and second, and nobody out for Western Carolina. Not what you wanted if you're Monty Lee and company. Tigers have stranded 4 to this point. They have no hits. They've committed 2 errors. They have stranded 4. Western Carolina, 3 runs on 4 hits, and they have committed an error. So a good start for Clemson. We'll see if the Tigers can fight their way back from it. Checking out some other scores, regionals across the country. Bottom of the third, bottom of the third, Arizona, Sam Houston State, they're scoreless. Washington and Santa Barbara, they're in the 14th inning. Let me take a look at this. It's 2-2. They're in the 14th inning, and this is the opening game of that regional, of course. You got to worry about pitching. And let's see, Washington is on its 3rd pitcher. Make that its 4th pitcher. The starter pitched a complete game. 4 hits, 1 run, threw 115 pitches. And then 3 relievers have come in. Santa Barbara is on its 4th pitcher. Its starter went 7 1/3 innings, and then 3 relievers have come in. Their starter, Shane Bieber, threw 108 pitches. So well, at least their coaches didn't leave the starters out there to throw some really exorbitant figure of pitches. Bremer, 115 for Washington. But 2-2 in the 14th inning there. That one continues. Let's see. East Carolina now on top of Bryant, 1-0, 7th inning. Louisville cruising over Western Michigan, 4-0 in the 5th. Florida State hammering Alabama State 10-1 in the 6th. New Mexico 2-0 on Dallas Baptist. That's in the 3rd. Navy and NC State, they're scoreless, bottom of the 3rd. Stetson and Miami, they're scoreless, top of the 2nd. Louisiana Tech, Cal State Fullerton, scoreless, top of the 2nd. And that is it for the games that are ongoing as we speak. Final scores. Virginia 17, William and Mary 4. Of course, you know Oklahoma State beat Nebraska 6-0, and you know that UNCW beat Duke 11-1. Southern Miss beat South Alabama 14-2. Connecticut over Georgia Tech 7-6. Long Beach State down Florida Atlantic 5-1. Coastal Carolina beat St. Mary's, California 5-2. Ohio State down Wright State 7-6. Gonzaga beat Arizona State 5-1. Texas Tech hammered Fairfield 12-1. Mississippi State 9-5 over Southeast Missouri State. Wake Forest beat Minnesota 5-3. And Boston College down Tulane 7-2. All right, so you're up to date on the scores. And again, 3-0 Western Carolina on top of Clemson, top of the 3rd. And Western is threatening with nobody out, runners on 1st and 2nd. USC still in it's not really a weather delay now. It's a getting the playing field ready to go situation. The weather has passed, apparently. And they're just getting things in shape for the start of USC and Rhode Island. We'll check back in one final time with K-Mac, get a final scene setter from him coming up in just a little bit before we sign off tonight. Braves tonight are out on the West Coast. They finished up their series at home with San Francisco. They're heading out to the West Coast to take on the Dodgers. Game's underway. Baltimore leads the Yankees 1-0. Milwaukee, and it's in the 4th. Milwaukee and Philadelphia scoreless in the 3rd. Angels lead the Pirates 4-2 in the 2nd. Cincinnati over Washington 2-0 in the 2nd. White Sox in Detroit 1-1 in the 2nd. Blue Jays in the third. Miami over the Mets 1-0 in the third. KC and Cleveland 1-1 in the third. And the Cubs beat Arizona 6-0. And, of course, the sad story out of Nashville and Vanderbilt, the drowning of that Vanderbilt freshman pitcher, Everett, who was on a fishing trip with some friends in a lake near Murfreesboro outside of Nashville. Very, very sad story there. You certainly hate to hear that for anybody, and especially, a team that we follow like Vanderbilt. All right, we'll check back in with K-Mac in a moment. Well, things have certainly gotten ugly for Clemson here against Western Carolina. It's now 5-0. Western Carolina with a 3 spot. They still have runners on first and second. There's only one out. Tigers have committed 2 errors. It's 5-0. Western Carolina, as the Catamounts are still batting in the top of the 3rd inning. This is not what I meant when I said Clemson can come back from deficits. You have to really bury them. This is, a little more than I was thinking here from a Tiger standpoint. Charlie Barnes is still on the mound for Clemson, and the bleeding here in the 3rd inning is not yet over. K-Mac standing by over at Founders Park. How's it look for an 8:09 first pitch?
It looks very good. They're doing the lineups now, Corn. It's gone from very hot at Founders Park for the first game to very wet with all the rain. Now it feels kind of like a swamp is how I would describe it here. Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how Rhode Island, we're used to this kind of stuff, but Rhode Island, if they have a long inning, Tyler Wilson has been so good. He probably hasn't pitched in anything quite like this in more ways than one, weather and crowd-wise.
Yeah, you're exactly right. How's the crowd looking as people start to file in?
It's looking pretty big in terms of the crowd. They're all making their way into the seats now and settling in, albeit about an hour, 9 minutes later than a crowd here at Founders Park. I would imagine close to 8,000.
Well, they should take a look up at their scoreboards and see what's happening here at Doug Kingsmore. Just to remind themselves that these 1 versus 4s, when you're going to see a good pitcher, strange things can happen. This isn't like the NCAA tournament where it's one, where a 1's never beaten a 16. A 16 has never beaten a 1. 4s have beaten 1s in this tournament routinely over the years.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen 4 seeds go to the College World Series. Heck, Oregon State won the whole thing as a 4 seed. It happens. Last year, I think Virginia might have been a 3 seed in one of their regionals on the road. You get hot, you have a hot pitcher, a hot team, and anything can happen in these regionals. Anything can happen in baseball. So, yeah, certainly you don't take anybody lightly, and that's why they're going with their ace today in Clark Schmidt against another very good pitcher in Tyler Wilson, who hasn't given up a run, only 1 earned run in 55-plus innings.
Whew. Yeah, his numbers are really incredible. You have to also take into consideration the opponents that he's faced, but that's good against anybody.
Yeah, and now this team played Winthrop and Rock Hill early in the season, and the Eagles won 2 out of 3. So, they've been down in the South, and they played some of these teams, but you're right, they haven't beat a lot of them. Florida State beat them early in the year. All the big leagues are out here. Ray Tanner's walking by. Will Muschamp just walked by. It's a who's who here, Corn.
Yeah, and K-Mac, of course, puts the who's
well,
and who's
yeah,
who.
I mean, I think more people care about Will Muschamp. Well, Coach Boone's dropped a few LBs since he arrived in South Carolina. It's not quite as portly as he was when he took the job.
He's already sweating the upcoming season. All right, thank you, K-Mac. We'll follow along on Twitter. One quick recruiting note, USC has offered running back Aaron Collins. This is coming out tonight. Running back Aaron Collins out of Sefner, Florida, gets a USC offer. Follow along on Twitter, sportstalksc.com. Have a great weekend. Thank you, Carson. We'll see you Monday night.